Hi, YouTube. I hope you're doing well. I was just thinking, I have a theory about people that don't believe there is a God. Have you noticed that they also don't believe in the laws of God that are written on their hearts, and they seem to be more, maybe liberal-minded or left-leaning individuals? I've noticed that. I also have another theory that narcissists are God's direct opposition. If there's no real love found in a person, then they're the opposite of what real love is. And like with a psychopath or a sadist or, the dark tetrad traits, behavior traits, maybe this is an indication of who these people are. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But I know that God offers a future through our senses that He offers, just like Satan offers, the good or the bad, for our futures and for here, what we're doing, you know. Yeah, if you pick God in your heart, if the bad people around you in your life can get away with treating you poorly, they will. But I also have noticed that He will protect us. There's a lot of times that people have wanted to be far more cruel, and just a glimpse, I guess. So what I'm trying to say is just a glimpse of what God is within that person. He works through them in that area. So once again, I'm just thinking out loud, but I'm just thinking the only people I know in opposition. There's probably more people than just that feeling this way, but I have found most people that don't believe in God have a tendency to do bad things or want to do bad things or have no emotions at all about either. They just don't care about much in life. There's like a flat affect type of personality, So, yeah. Or some people actually just know that they made up their mind a long time ago that they would rather be the boss of themselves in a stubborn way, no matter what it took. I'm a very stubborn person myself, totally so independent as far as, yeah, everything's a give and take in the world, but living with a narcissist, everything is more like a business deal. I didn't make it this way. I'm just coexisting with somebody that has basically no emotions, I guess is one way to put it, you know. They have desires, but it's not quite the same as most people. I don't know. Cheers, everybody. I watched Sam Bachman, and I think it was his significant other. named Lydia, and another lady, let me see if I can get her name, Inkvana, I think. That her name, I'm quite serious, like ENKAVJAHA or something. I mean, I'm not kidding. It was a little bit different, so I'll just call her Miss Inky. So anyway, um, but yeah, both of them were, as far as I know, I didn't know about Inky's position. I think she's some kind of a counselor, and Lydia is, what'd she say? She was a counselor for traumatic, I think she said post-traumatic, like PTSD survivors or something like that. But anyway, I think all three of them worked in the psychological medical field, is what I'm saying. Oh, and Lydia specializes in psychology as far as working with children, so that piqued my interest too. And while Sam was speaking, I could just tell the look on her face. I mean, she just loves this dude. Yeah, that's decisions people make for life partners. If you live with um, somebody that thinks they're God, what do you do? you know. But anyway, I could just tell she really loved him. It's like, yeah, I understand. I've been there. I mean, my love hasn't gone away. It's just that I don't have the opportunity to express it in its fullest. I never have, and maybe most people on this planet really haven't. I don't know. I mean, in a relationship between a man and a woman, of course, like as a parent, we have um, a never ending love for our kids. Most of us, I think. So I know um, that God offers us peace and no more sorrow. Isn't that appealing? Um, or have people been so deluded and our our flesh so polluted that they don't actually their faith is so vacant? I don't know. I really don't. I see even at times where I would question, I still come back to the same conclusion. First, I didn't make myself. Second, I know the difference between right and wrong and what is perverse and what isn't, and those types of things. We all do. It's just that some of us lack control in a lot of areas. And that once again is like, everybody has created equal, and then we grow into the people that we want to become. These are our decisions that we're making, you know. But then who am I to say that God isn't shielding somebody that's like apparently emotionless, you know, as long as they're not actually hurting people. But if you're hurting people, I don't know. I really don't know. What I'm saying is is somebody else's infliction on somebody else, say like a narcissist, causing abuse towards another human being. Is that excusable in God's eyes? Who am I to say? I don't know. But yeah. All I know is if a person can't live with it personally, if it gets physically difficult and draining, and then you have to really make decisions, for your own self and what's best for you and your health and everything else. And that does come first, no matter what, And I found out even with kids, if I couldn't take care of myself, where it was getting really difficult to even be able to hold down a job and feed my children and take care of my home, make sure they had homework done, all the doctor's appointments, the list is endless. If you find yourself not being able to fulfill the things you need to get done in your life, and your whole family is suffering for it, then you have some major decisions to make in your life based on that alone. I've counseled people before in the same situation, and there's really only one conclusion. You come first in that respect. And if you have children, your children come first in that respect. Then I've heard a lot of people where one parent will keep the kids away from another just out of pure, like torturing them. I had that happen to me. Now that's a kind of a goes more than one way too, in different extremes, as far as if you have a spouse that had been very violent towards their children, and what if you couldn't prove that in the courts? You know, that would be putting the kids in danger, whether you could prove it or not. That's I faced that before. Oh, I came across something really cool this morning. One of the first things I read this morning was one of my friends telling me that I was good for their soul. Well, that's good news. Yeah. I said, thank you. You are also, you know. Yeah, this is a family. They had just lost their mother too, and probably middle-aged people, I'm thinking. And yeah, they're just dealing with it, just learning how to deal with the vacancy of losing somebody that they loved, their mom. And from what I understand, she was a really wonderful, just beautiful woman. So yeah, it's a loss. And yeah, it takes, you don't ever really get used to it. Um, it's just like divorce. Divorce is like a death. And anytime we have that type of loss in our life. So, and then if you think about it, with children going through a divorce now with their parents, I mean, sometimes parents are able to transport the kids back and forth, or share custody, or different things, or like me, they might even tried things that just did not work. But sometimes people are able to work it out, and the kids are pretty well balanced through the whole thing. But I'd say more often than not, what I've seen is these children suffer the loss like a death, probably worse, maybe worse than what the parents do, you know? I felt that when I was a kid. I knew I wasn't any relation to the people that raised me. I always felt that loss, like my parents were dead. I found out they weren't, but, you know, one didn't even know about me. My dad didn't even know, so he says. But he said. But I mean, what I'm saying is, I do think that divorces are almost, if not harder on the child. I would wager to say it probably is way worse on the kids as far as feeling like their parent died when they were little than it is on the adult. I really think so. And I've had to examine it in myself and my children. This for myself, and from what I've seen out of other parents and their children, it really seems that the kids suffer that death, that loss, more than the adults do, you know. So, yeah. Bottom line with all that narcissist stuff, okay, so I can't prove you're evil, you know, and I can't prove that what if you're stubborn and just what really think you made yourself, or you don't care, or you don't believe that there would be like going to jail for your bad ways type of situation. At the end of it all, if you knew the laws are written on your heart, and you don't obey them out of what, stubbornness or whatever, um, or lack of concern for yourself because you don't love yourself, you know? Now that part I'm just asking. Because, yeah, I know narcissists appear to love themselves, but I know they don't. They have, they have, well, they're really insecure in a lot of ways. It's hard to look at people in adult bodies and realize, now, is this pretense that they put on themselves, or is this actually an ailment that God can cover for you as far as impediments that people have and that we're born with, you know? I'm just trying to dig down deep so nobody has to suffer, you know? Um, you know? Really. That's why I'm asking questions instead of just making statements. I mean, some I've made that I can't prove evil. What's evil? I mean, it doesn't take for us to kill somebody to actually be malicious, you know. I don't know. But if you were going to be sad forever and you knew that you had that option not to be sad or to be sad, wouldn't it be logical to pick that you wouldn't want to be sad? Wouldn't it be logical just to maybe not, maybe behavior modification as far as not being so stubborn? If I can do it, you can do it, you know. I had to learn too let's put it this way. If I was like Jacob wrestling with God and God had me pinned, now if he had the ability to pin me, I'd be pretty stupid to strike him. I'm talking if we went into well, it's yeah, if no, because I've been pinned before and I'll still fight because you have to if you're going to get hurt. But if you don't feel like you're being hurt and he's pinning you, maybe he's just pinning you to make you know something, you know? Question is, do we accept it? Do we let our self-made persons, our persona of who we are and our pride and our what's the word? I think I just said it as far as stubbornness. Yeah, do we let our stubbornness override what's best for us? It's like, okay, God put us in like a habitat. He knows what types of things it takes to make his little people thrive in here, you know? Do you have faith at all that things are promised to be better than here with no sorrow? That's a thought. I'd just like you to think on that if you can, if you would. I mean, I know you can. You're capable of thinking, you know. I'm not trying to be flippant or put you or demeaning at all in any way. This is coming from, and I will never really look at myself. I don't look at myself like a victim. Yeah, I've been abused. People abuse me all the time. But I'm a warrior and they never really get away with it. So I don't feel like a victim, you know, at all. Because nobody rides for free like that. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to find some words for the narcissist's minds out there that are so stubborn. Because, you know, if you're a narcissist, you can probably pretty much feel like you're king of the world. You own the world. You can do whatever you want to do. You can say whatever you want to say. You're the smartest. You're the best looking. Everything. Yada, yada, yada. And so forth. But then what? Like, you're getting older. Do you recognize that when you take your last breath, are you fearless on that note? You know? I mean, I know I'm a good person, but I still have to ask God to keep me good. That's what I'm saying. I cannot do this alone, you know? I act like a stupid idiot. I display my temper sometimes. I used to really love to do that. I've done it on here and I usually end up crying. Some of you have seen that, you know, get so pissed off and then I feel ashamed because I display my stupidity, you know. And I don't know, for the narcissists listening to that, they're probably like, yeah, go figure. Well, yeah, I'm still a warrior. And when I cry, that makes me even kind of more upset. but it doesn't make me feel weak. It actually brings a certain amount of strength in there that you probably never encountered like that before, is what I'm saying. It's a little bit different than what I've kind of noticed other people do. So, yeah, everybody is different, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm all out of questions, but I just really wanted to make it really clear that I know the Word of God is written on everybody's heart, whether you accept that or not. And you know it's there. And you know our days are numbered on this planet. As a matter of fact, some of us have watched friends pass on, parents, whoever. And you might think, well, if it was a cruel parent, you might think, well, gee, now I can finally, like, live my life without somebody that was overlooking me with the lesser than attitude. I don't know. I'm giving a scenario here that maybe that would give you a certain amount of freedom in life that you didn't have before. But then there's a time that, yeah, I think even a narcissist can grow up. And I am not demeaning again here. We all have our narcissistic traits, and you know, I tell you of my shames in life, and I'm not ashamed to talk about my shames, or my stubbornness. That, I mean, being so independent that I am. I got married on the 4th of July, Independence Day. The premise of our wedding was supposed to be united as one, separate from the world. That's what a marriage is. That's why we picked Independence Day. Within that union was a friendship that we both knew. Okay, it was a best friend love relationship. It's not okay. We both got what we want, but we both know that through the promises of God, there's a little more to our situation, a little more, that it wasn't just all about us. And we both just knew that. I hope that made a little bit of sense to somebody. But yeah. But even within that, and him being a narcissist, it's very frustrating. And, you know, it's like people, they can say they believe in God. And like I tell Doug often, because it is true, even Satan believes in God, you know. Does that make him love God? You know, because this is something I've heard out of Doug and other people. I'm not just picking on Doug, but I'm just saying, I believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I say, yeah, well, so does Satan. But do you worship him? Do you praise him within your heart? Do your actions show service to our Creator? You know, that is the question. You know, so what do you want to happen on your last breath on this planet? What do you expect? Or don't you have any expectations? Do you think, well, this is all it is? and what you expect out of life, and you're going to get it through the ether, because that dark force will help you obtain almost everything you want, you know? Or it can also destroy if you think you have everything you want. And then you find out different, you know? So it could be either one of the forces or both of them working together in that area. Because I do know that we're supposed to love God before we love anybody or anything. It's like in a marriage, if you don't have a spouse that if you don't go in that marriage with God in your hearts, you will fail. If Especially if the man in that marriage does not have God in his heart, definitively it will fail, you know. If one of them does, maybe it won't, you know. I don't know. But I do know um, a godless marriage is a failure in the eyes of God. I know that for a fact. So, but then you can think that you're in a marriage and it's full of God, and then find out that your partner was not who they appeared to be, and then maybe sometimes quicker than you would like, you find that out. So I just really want you to think on that. If you took your last breath today, and you're an eternal being, where do you want to spend eternity? In sorrow, everlasting sorrow and shame. That doesn't sound appealing to me. I have enough sorrow and shame right now. I don't want that to go on forever. And I know a narcissist doesn't suffer that. They suffer sorrows, that I do know. And yes, they do have shame, but it doesn't carry the same weight of um, constructive. They take offense, if I'm not mistaken. And although you say you have no ego and no self, what spirit helps you rise above that shame to commit more grievance acts towards other people? What allows you to carry on in a diverse manner after the shame? What picks you up? What lifts you up? I know if I'm crying and I feel bad, then I feel stupid, because there's a lot of beautiful things in this world, and I know it's only a temporary thing. But don't you see that it is temporary? Or are you cool with that? Like you're a one-trick pony, a one-time dude, and or dudette, and that's all there is. You know? I'm just asking. I don't know. Or you're totally a part of the deception, and you're being used like a tool, and you're doing a really good job. You know? I don't know. I'm not anybody else but me. That's all I can speak on. I'm still trying to figure out things that I don't I mean, I know like there's things that I have to work on as far as not being so like a narcissist, so very arrogant, and I haven't always been. That's part of a narcissist's problem too, is lacking self-confidence, but appearing to be more confident than anybody else. And when you're beat to a pulp and you can barely even like yourself, when you grow up like that, yeah, it's going to cause some narcissistic um, injuries, and you may become a narcissist yourself, or you're going to rise above it. But a lot of it, I'm not just making excuses. I've overcome speech impediment, dyslexia, a stroke where I couldn't even talk or walk. So when I might sound a little full of myself, but that really is not where my heart lies. That's basically what the premise of my video is today, is to let you know I am not full of myself like that. I do love myself, however, you know, maybe sometimes a bit too much, you know, but I don't think so. Maybe just the right amount, you know, because I certainly don't want to go hating on myself either, you know. That's not a good thing. So, yeah, I guess just trying to reach people and trying to say, hey, really doesn't kill us to be a little more humble for our fellow human beings, And yeah, I've seen narcissists be totally gracious and full of manners, and what? Do you close the door and turn into Mr. McBarkey, or, baring your teeth? Or are you like chomping at the bit, waiting for the next quiet moment where you can strike? You know? I know I'm digging down to the heart of it, you know? Well, I could say, ask God to help you with that, but first you'd have to believe that you actually have a creator that loves you and wants you to be okay. How do I know he loves you? Because I'm talking to one person in particular, and others will hear me, and you'll probably think it's for you, and that's a good thing, because he loves you. He made you adorable just to be like you. You're precious to him. That's how I know, because he asked me to get on here and tell you that he made you because he loves you. There's only one of you, because he wanted you to be you. Maybe like me. Maybe he wanted you to rise above all the bad things that happened to you and acquire the grace of God and that love that comes along with it for other people, you know? I know it's a scary thing, opening up your heart and being vulnerable. You look like a total dumbass, especially if you're a narcissist and you're going to be vulnerable. What an idiot. But that's the only way we can do it, is allowing us to be vulnerable. Yeah, so what if we get hurt? We get hurt, right? Then it would be them narcissists that would say, well, weren't you stupid? I'd say, yeah, it appears so. But did I really waste my time? Or did I plant a seed? There's some people that believe in hope and some that don't. And the depth of my soul believes in hope. And I have to stand on that. I can't really think anything else. I can hope that something I said will reach somebody that was having maybe sorrowful thoughts and doubts of future. And if you could think about it, all the things that we have that are here that is cool, don't you think that there's going to be more cool stuff in the future? Don't you want to learn all that God is and He's forever ahead of us building? To me, that's um, incredible. It's like, so what more will I be able to do? What's going to entertain me? What will I be thinking? What will I be taught? I mean, um, all my questions, I'm sure, have answers forever. That used to be a daunting thought to me, especially with uh, disabilities that made it, learning disabilities, made it a daunting thought that I would never be through learning, you know? And I just couldn't get my heart around it. My head heard it, and it's like, yeah, okay, so keep beating me up. What's new? But once you start learning and you're loving it, you know. It's like when you learn how to ski and the first time you make it down the hill, like you can't wait to get back up at the top and maybe even try a trick. It's like, or ice skating, or the first time you learn how to twirl around, or swimming, the first time you dive instead of belly flop or jumping in with your knees up. But you actually learn how to dive. Then you can't wait to do it again. You want to do it more beautiful the next time, you know. Or the first time you drive a car, you know. Just think of all the firsts ahead of you forever that you'll accomplish and be proud of yourself for. I mean, if we're proud here, that's a big if, you know. I can think in glorious terms. I believe this creation is a learning tool, you know. Maybe, like I say, some people believe it's more uh, your temporary existence, and maybe you are. I, who am I to say? I'm really just trying to reach hearts that have waxed cold, you know, because we really do have to live on the premise that if we wouldn't want it done to us, we shouldn't do it to somebody else, type of thing in life, no matter what we're doing. I mean, we all do make mistakes, you know, and if we do lack that control in those areas, well, saying that they're is no God can allow you to continue to do that. But having to look in the mirror and knowing you did not create yourself, doesn't that give you some inclination that you're put here for a reason? We all are. Unless you don't believe that either. Maybe there is no reason for your existence. I just want you to admit that there is a God and you're being selfish and you're stubborn. And once again, He loves you and He wants you to recognize that. That's a start. That's enough for one day. The love's still there. He's speaking through people like me. This is not just my thoughts. I was thinking about my thoughts today on me being so arrogant sometimes, a lot of the time, and other people that I'll even admire that are like that too, but that only goes up to a point for me. Then I have to uh, humble myself. I don't like sorrow, and I do talk to God, and I get answers within my own, um, the Spirit of God working through people as He does, and no, there is no schizophrenia. It's either Satan or God or you or voices from the past, like parents or whatever, like the repeater, it's on repeat, that type of thing. But there are outside forces, witchcraft, you know. And I'm not ignorant of these things. I'm just trying to talk to you before you totally don't have the opportunity to humble yourself. When that point gets there, I can't, there's no more words I can say to try and even reach your intelligence because it will be too late. Nothing you say will matter anymore. I just want you to matter, you know? So that's what's on my mind. I wanted to tell you about how, even with my stubbornness and my pride and my independence and all of it, and my shame, why and how I humbled myself, you know? Hope you can see that I'm far from foolish, you know? I'm not I'm not living in a fairy tale land where I don't know of God's existence. I'm not the walking dead, you know? And there's some people that go a little foo-foo, like too far. It's too fluffy. It's not really, it's not, okay, I used to say I'm the weirdest type of minister because I'm the type will go like into a biker party or a biker bar. I think you get where I'm saying, like some of the roughest parts, like a Indian reservation, like you got to be really brave if you're going to portray the word of God to the more animalistic nature, you know. It takes a special kind of person. So I'm a little bit different for those reasons because who else is going to reach? They're not going to watch what is it, like Benny Hinn or um, Oral Roberts, or you know what I mean, like these names of these big preachers or whatever. Of course, they're not going to listen to anybody like that, you know. I mean, it was that type of structure of religion that hurt so many people on this planet that it just because of the hypocrites alone has turned so many millions of people away from God, just with the hypocrisy of it all, you know. That's the number one killer in the church right there, any church. So anyway, I just want to tell you that it's possible to ask for God's help, and there's no shame in that. He loves you. I love you. There's a lot of people out here. We love you. We don't want you to have sorrows or bad times or hurt yourself. And that's what we're trying to prevent by even talking about it. Don't look at me like I'm small or brain dead or haven't lived a life that I know the difference between there is a Satan and there is a God. And I think you know that too. And I just, you know, you don't have to maybe openly admit anything or totally destroy your persona of who you are. But then on the other hand, what a way, and if it were curable, who would be the greatest doctor to discover that? Would it be me or somebody with a degree? No, you know, just some things to think about because, you know, I know narcissists are like, they don't even love themselves and they're self-loathing, but you don't have to be. That's my point. And all you got to do is humble yourself before your creator. It's so simple. He loves you. That's our Father. He loves you. Don't you get that? You know? It's pretty easy. It's not that difficult. It'd be like coming up to me. It'd be about the same equivalent if I had insurance on a car. It'd be like you coming in my yard and hit my car and coming in and telling me you just bumped into my car. It'd be about the same equivalent, and I'd be like, well, that's a bummer, but I have insurance, you know. But then on the other hand, if you keep doing what you're doing, it'd be like you're pulling into my yard and you run into a one-of-a-kind hot rod or a classic vehicle or something, and then you're crossing the lines and then you didn't even come in and tell me that you hit it, but I saw you and you just drove away and pretended that nothing happened, you know. That would be pretty mean. Though that's the same equivalent of somebody that knows there's a God and won't admit it because they want to keep doing the things that they're doing that has benefited them up until this point, you know. But what are you going to do on that last breath? That's got to be the name of this video because that's, you have to think that there's not a day you wake up that you can't look at the sun and breathe the air and just take it for granted, you know, no matter what. Okay, so you don't love people so much. Well, they don't give you a lot of reason to either, but there's some of us that do, you know. So you just take them good ones and you think on that. and think on your last breath and think of the true love of God and all the gifts that He does give us and the promises of better things to come, unless you think there's just nothingness after that, you know. And I hope that the Word of God touches your heart with that, because there is more to come. If you think you're smart now, just wait. Wow, you know. Sure, we'll never catch up, but we'll have our peers, we'll have people on our level with with fabulous times to our liking. I mean, He knows the desires of our heart. If you're using your heart, you know, that's promised to be fulfilled. So, you know, I believe that. I really do. Well, anyway, I just want you to think on that last breath thing. That's the last thing I have to say today, because it's really an important topic. All right, everybody, I really appreciate you joining me. When I say peace and love, I mean it with all of my heart. From Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at, and a wonderful week ahead.